Most lifters think they need more motivation to get consistent, but that's the wrong tool for the job. What they actually need is better systems. I'm Amber, powerlifting coach and creator of the Powerlifters Playground. Today, I'm breaking down why habits, routines, and systems are more powerful than bursts of hype, and how you can build ones that actually last. Okay, today we're going to talk about why motivation is unreliable, how systems can create consistency, examples of some high performance systems that we can put into play, and how to build our own systems. So starting with point number 1, motivation is unreliable. It's emotion based and it fluctuates. There are internal factors that affect motivation. There are external factors that affect motivation. Internal factors, things like our mood and our energy. There's other underlying factors like stress or fatigue. If we're not getting enough sleep, if we're not getting enough food, if we're not exercising enough or we're exercising too much, motivation can dwindle. Even our brain chemistry can affect our motivation via neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, which are two neurotransmitters that regulate our mood and our motivation. There are external factors like environment. There are setbacks and barriers that you run into. There are work commitments. So there's a lot that impacts motivation both positively and negatively. With that being said, a lot of those things are out of our control, which makes gauging our motivation a bit more unreliable because there are so many variables and factors that play into it. It's hard to correlate which one means what. All we can do is assume that one or two of those things is having an effect on our motivation, and we can build systems in order to prevent those demotivations from taking over. How can we stay consistent in our actions so that motivation doesn't matter, so that you show up and you do it regardless? Bringing us to point number 2. How do we take some of these fluctuating emotions and instances where we have a lot of up and down, and how do we create consistency? How do we create habits that are scalable and repeatable to a point where we can anticipate what's going to happen after, and we can make those sorts of habits thoughtless without having, that drain of willpower? You just get up and you go do it. You get up and you go to the gym. Well, we build systems. Systems create consistency. Consistency allows us to practice habits in a scalable and repeatable form. We're doing it every day, so we're gaining more information and more knowledge from that every single day. Which leads us into what even is an example of a high performance system. Pre-training checklists. Well, before you go to the gym, you might need to have your gym shoes, and you might need to have a water bottle, and you might need to have your key fob. Now, in the beginning of your journey, you might need to write this checklist down and check through it. But eventually, the more that you practice and the more that becomes habitual, it becomes a quick checklist in your head. It becomes a little more thoughtless than what it had originally. But you created a system. You created a checklist in your head. Sunday meal prep is an example of a high performance system. Making sure that your meals are prepared for the week and set up for you so that you don't have to open the fridge and go through the thought process of, what am I going to eat? No, instead you have your, chicken cordon bleu with your broccoli and a potato. That meal is packaged nicely for you to allow you to do less thought and create the habit. We're just decreasing the resistance that it takes to achieve these behaviors. Decrease that resistance, decrease the barrier, do it habitually, and then you've created a system of consistency, and you're no longer going to rely on motivation. Set a daily training time. This has worked really well for me, in terms of running my own business and being an entrepreneur. There was a point in my life where I was training at different times each and every day, and it didn't lead to consistency. I didn't have a system about when I was going to work out, and I started to feel myself burn out. Instead, I said, okay, hey, 10 a.m. every day, I'm gonna wake up at 5, I'm gonna do what I need to do in the morning, achieve a couple tasks, and then I'm gonna go to the gym at 10 a.m. every day. That is how I built the consistency of training, so that it doesn't matter whether I'm motivated or not, I end up at the gym. And I always end up feeling better when I show up and I do something, rather than when I don't show up and I do nothing. So I've built that consistency and that system of just show up to the gym. When I just show up to the gym, it's easy for me to go and do something. Regardless of whether it's following a plan or not, I do think there's merit in following a plan, but there are some times where you just need to go to the gym and you just need to do something. And that's a positive system. There are times where you're not going to want to meal prep, but when you have a crazy week coming up, it's going to pay off if you meal prep and you don't have to put thought into what you're ordering for dinner. You don't have to take the time to order it. Sure, it takes time to meal prep, but everything's there for you, and you've set up a system that sets you up for success. You've set up a system that decreases the resistance to entry. So let's talk about how to build our own system. Start in the smallest bite size possible. Is your goal to get to the gym 4 days a week? Set a daily time that works for you and show up to the gym that many times a week. Just show up. It doesn't matter if you show up and you get on the treadmill. It doesn't matter if you show up and you get on the elliptical. It doesn't matter if you show up and you do a circuit on the machines. You're building one habit. If you want to build on that habit later, then yes, we'll talk about that. But start as small as you possibly can, to the point where you're showing up and you're putting yourself in that environment. Go to the grocery store on Sunday mornings. Maybe you don't start meal prepping on Sunday, but the more that you show up to the grocery store, the more that's going to become a habit. You're going to be able to build other habits on top of that and stack them. And then all of a sudden, you're meal prepping on Sundays and your food intake throughout the week has increased considerably while your stress has gone down, because you're not having to make excess decisions about what you're going to eat. Track your inputs, not your outcomes. How many times did you show up to the gym? I don't care if you lost weight. I don't care if you lifted X amount. Stop paying attention to the outcomes and start tracking your inputs. You made a promise to yourself to show up to the gym 4 times that week. Did you show up 4 times? Did you only show up 3? What made you not show up that 4th time? Decrease that resistance and do it again. Adjust your environment to support change. That's that 3rd one. What were you met with resistance? How can you diminish that resistance? By better preparing yourself. Maybe it just means showing up. Maybe it just means there's a thought that's going through my head. I just need to shut it down and I need to go. This time, 10 a.m., Monday through Friday. Want more guidance like this every week? Subscribe here and join the Powerlifters Playground email, where we go deeper into the habits that actually drive progress both on and off the platform.